Good evening. Sorry for our delay in getting started this evening. We're going to start here in just a minute. All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Monday, December 9th, Board of Education meeting. And we will start by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. We've got a lot of kids here tonight. Great to see you guys. Why don't you kids get us started in saying the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, all right? There you go. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. All right. Thank you, guys. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda? One second. You need to hold up for a second there, Sonia. Pretty good. Okay. We can hold up if you need to for recording. All right. Before we get going, I just wanted, you might have noticed that Dr. Markley is not here. He just had a non-serious medical procedure that for some reason the doctors wanted to keep him overnight in the hospital, but he should be back in the office tomorrow. He wanted me to say he regrets having to miss his first board meeting in 19 years as a superintendent. So everything's fine with him. We should be back here tomorrow. So I'll let you all know that. All right, report of board members. Fine.
So I got to go to the quarterfinals game for Raytown High on the 23rd. It was fun to be down with the band and watch them and everything. And then that same night we had the Addams Family musical, so it was a very Raytown High day that day for us as a family. But we really enjoyed everything that went on that day.
Yes, that Addams Family was something else. I mean, I could not believe that those were high school kids. I really couldn't believe it. And it was amazing. And in fact, today, when I was at my son's, my granddaughter, before she got on the bus, was watching, she said it was college people and doing the Addams Family. So I said, okay. And it wasn't the Nathan Lane one, but anyway, they were good too. And but I just can't believe what they get out of those kids. I also got to attend the Truman Heartland Luncheon, where they where grant recipients receive their grant money, and our district, I think it was mentioned last time, received 2 awards, both from parents as teachers, for
car seats and booster seats for parents who need those, and for a program for bags for children to take home monthly and for activities. So that was really, that Truman Heartland does a really nice job, and that was fun to attend. And winter vacation is almost here, so that's good.
Anybody else? I just mentioned it. Yeah, I attended both the Raytown High School football playoff games, and it was pretty exciting. Congratulations to them for a great year, so we're happy about that. And I attended the plays both at the musicals at South and at Raytown, and they were both fantastic. You know, they both did a great job. We got good drama teachers at both schools, and just really, the Addams Family was quite a spectacle. Even my South son was wanting to go see it a second time. So they did a great job on that. All right, anybody else? All right, we'll just go right to presentations and recognitions. Danielle.
All right. Let's see, HCC, they hosted a donation for REAP, and they collected more than 2,500 items to be donated to REAP. And Brock Martin, who's the graphics design instructor, he agreed to have his hair cut in the shape of a chameleon to reward the students for exceeding their goals. So, Cheryl, do we know when the haircut's taking place?
In order to appease the family, we're waiting till after the holidays. So sometime at the beginning of second semester.
Wonderful, so we'll definitely be sharing those photos. That'll be pretty interesting. Last year it was in the shape of a pineapple, right? This year's chameleon. More imaginative every year. We recently had a Liberian representative tour our schools, and this came from a parent at Spring Valley who kind of gave their testimony about how well they thought that the schools here in Raytown and the schools in America were preparing their students for their futures. And so we were able to have a diplomat on a visit to the United States. He came to learn more about education and technology. He toured Spring Valley, of course, but then he also got to tour the Herndon Career Center, and was very complimentary and very impressed by the things that he saw along the way. Also this weekend, or last week, this past weekend, Raytown Middle hosted their annual Community Pancake Breakfast and Holiday Mark. And there were more than 500 non-perishable food items that were collected for REAP. And students got to meet with Santa, and there was safety tips provided by the Kansas City Fire Department. And then recently, Raytown South High Comrata and Raytown South High Cardinal Corral, not recently, in the future, they are going to perform during the Sounds of the Holiday program, which will air on KSHB 41 and Channel 38. And you can catch Sounds of the Holiday December 25th from 4 to 6 a.m. if you're awake, or 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., which is more when I will be awake, on Channel 41, and then 6 to 8 a.m. on December 28th, and from 5 to 7 p.m. On Channel 38 from 5 to 7 p.m. Yes. And so they will be on Sounds of Holidays. I'm not sure how many times they've performed in that, but this is definitely not the first time that they've been featured on that program. And then last but not least, on Did You Know, we have the students from the Challenge program who received a $2,500 grant as a part of being the top 20 finalists in the Burns and McDonald's Battle of the Brains competition. So we'll start by playing their submission video, and then we'll have the teachers and students come up and kind of introduce themselves and talk about what that experience has been like.
Did you know robotics are here, here, and here? A robot is a machine designed to complete a task. The amount of robots in the world are set to double by the year 2020 to 3 million robots. With robots on the rise, we can learn all about them at Robo Revolution at Science City. Welcome to the Miniature Sense Maze. In this exhibit, kids will build a maze for a school robot to navigate through. Once the maze is complete, the robot will use its sensor to find its way out. Your robot learns like a friend that plays different games with you. The games it can play with you are chess, checkers, tic-tac-toe, and Connects 4. You get to see mechanical engineering in action because you get to see how sensors work and how moving parts work inside of a robot. Bullets are robot blocks that make it fast and easy to build a robot. You don't need to know how to code or wire, construct robots with few bullets. Just snap the robot blocks together and the magnetic faces do the rest. Welcome to virtual reality. You will put on a virtual reality headset and choose which robotic situation you would like to be in. The robotic scenarios you are able to choose from are underwater exploration, flying probe, and rover on Mars. In robotic circuit, you will be able to snap robotic pieces together to make a working circuit. On level 1, your completed circuit will make a robotic arms clap, celebrating your success. Go on level 2, where your completed circuit makes robotic arms wave and say, yay! Ask Athena is where you get to ask a robot factual questions. However, if you ask Athena opinion questions like, what's my favorite color, she will not be able to answer you and she'll just guess. You will learn about a robot's thinking process and how Athena was programmed to answer your questions. Come to the newest exhibit at Science City, Robo Revolution!
few of them with us today. So, the challenge team actually entered 6 different proposals, and each of the proposals, they had to write a 4-page entry, 4-page single-space 10-point font. And you saw some of the artwork that they got to put into it as well. So we had some students that were writers, so raise your hand if you were one of the writers on our team. Okay? We had others that were part of the illustration. Raise your hand if you were doing the illustrations. I think they might not be here tonight. Okay. Then we had another group that had to work on the budget. So they had to create a budget within $250,000. So raise your hand if you're working on the budget. Yeah. And then we had a group that was working on the advertisement that you saw. So raise your hand if you were working on the advertisement. Yeah. So these guys put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, and they did an awesome job. And I'm going to let them tell you just one thing about what they liked about it or about their experience.
And your name.
And your name. Oh, and I'm Mrs. Finlay. Yeah. I'm going to just put it down there. You think you can reach?
My name is Nalini, and my favorite part about being in the top 20 was that it was a fun and interesting experience.
And don't forget to tell your mom.
And my mom and dad are here to support me.
Who's here with you,
Quentin?
And my mom, my dad, and my brother are here.
My name is Amelia, and I think that it was an exciting experience, and I thought that it included teamwork, and you learned about it more. And my mom is here. My name is Hayden, and my favorite part was working on the drawings, and my mom and brother are here.
My name is Aiden, and my favorite part about working on the exhibit was pretty much really having fun, being able to experience something new.
Because look at Aiden.
Favorite part of doing an exhibit and being in the top 20 was knowing that our word got in the top 20 in the 840 entries.
Grandma's here.
I was surprised that we were one of the top 20 because there was 840 submissions. And my mom was here with me.
Who are you?
Oh, my name is Silas.
I just wanted to add in there, the kids said it there at the end, but there are 840 proposals, so top 20 out of 840 is the top 2%. So we are really honored to be part of that group, or to have one of our 6 submissions be in that group. So last Wednesday we got to go to Union Station. All top 20 teams were invited there together when they announced the top 5. And we weren't part of the top 5, but we were really excited to be part of the top 20 and very honored, and kids are really excited their hard work paid off. I'm Miss Blank and I'm part of the challenge team too.
I'm Miss Schreier. Yeah, it was really cool to see them all work together. They worked extremely hard. We only had, 6 days total put it together, so they really worked hard, and it paid off, right guys? So, thanks guys.
I'm going to say one more thing. Hayden worked on the art. I'm sorry, Hayden. I was a little distracted. So give Hayden one more round of applause for the art.
Well, thank you all very much. And I want to say congratulations, kids. Congratulations for making me feel really dumb. The parents and grandparents of support people who are here tonight, stand up so we can see if you're a parent or a grandparent. So congratulations to you guys too, because sometimes challenge kids actually are a challenge, because they ask why a whole lot more than you would sometimes want. So appreciate your guys' hard work and letting us have your kids and be part of this great program. So any other comments? All right.
I just want to add on to that, a big 30%, I believe, of the final score was the community support, so going out to vote and everything, and the students and teachers, they were at Hvac and attended activities around the district, and so I thought that the community element of it was a really neat aspect, and we're really thankful to everyone who voted and supported our students.
Yeah.
So also with us tonight, we have Marie Tracy, who is a teacher over at Northwood. And she is responsible for coordinating the recent job skills panel that they had for students and adults with special needs. And so she's just here to talk a little bit about that panel and the planning behind it, and just a little bit more about the LIFE program.
All right, the LIFE program is based out of Northwood School. We work with students age 18 to 21 who have more significant disabilities from throughout the district. And with these students, we're really working on vocational skills and getting them out into the community and their transition to what's next after high school. And that's where this panel comes into play.
Okay, now let's go back to this. And then I move the board approve the Raytown Education Foundation fundraising initiatives, fundraising sales events with local restaurants, and the trivia night.
Second.
All right, great. Thank you for that report. In the motion.
I just made the motion.
Questions about the motion?
Can I take a minute to read this? Just a second. That's the second?
Yeah.
Hang on just a second. Make sure I understand, if you don't mind.
The youth sports scholarship, how does that?
It's run through the Parks and Rec, I believe, and Three Trails Kiwanis started. They have a golf tournament every year to raise money, and it costs money to run Little League basketball programs, and there's a lot of kids that just don't have that money. So, and I'm not sure what the qualifications are, but they can apply for this grant or this scholarship and then be involved. The games are played at our buildings, but it's run through the Parks and Recs, and it's for kids that can't afford the fee to play. And that's about anything else, Martha?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay.
I read it.
The youth sports thing, scholarship started several years ago because frankly we have a lot of kids who don't have the experience at younger ages that a lot of kids in other districts have, so we wanted to provide them as much opportunities as possible, because we know our kids, especially when they get to the high school, can compete against kids in any district. A lot of times the difference is they just haven't had the experience that other kids have had. So we started this, Alan worked hard to make it happen, worked with Martha and the foundation, worked with some of our former stars, what's the pitchers' names and stuff that have worked with us that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Bobby Denier.
Yeah, Bobby Denier. And I think there's another pitcher, but some of these guys would come back and help. One of our Hall of Fame guys come back and help us raise money and golf tournaments to help more kids be able to participate in these things. Basketball is one of them. Hopefully, I think we do some scholarships for some other sports too, but if not, we want to try and expand those to other sports to give more of our kids more experience at the younger levels to help them be better when they get up to the high schools. Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, vote on that motion then. Benefits Committee.
Benefits Committee met last month, fairly short meeting. We reviewed our current benefit offerings that are outlined in the benefits guide. That's available online if you'd like to see it. Under new business, Dave Johnson and Michelle Kahn from CBiz spoke to the committee about our current claims experience with health insurance and dental insurance. Our health insurance is having a year where we are exceeding our claims are exceeding our premiums. Right now, we're about $370,000 behind, if you will. More claims than what were paid in premium. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. We will be coming back in January or February with an update. Our next meeting is in February, so we'll update the benefits committee then. We will also be bringing back to the board a recommendation for health insurance in March. Same with dental. Our dental experience this year is going well, so don't see any changes. I am anticipating we will see an increase in our premiums next year. I've budgeted tentatively a 10% increase, which is about $800,000. We'll see. We've had some really good experience over the last 2 or 3 years. This is just one of those years. This last year we had a 7% reduction in premium, which is unheard of. The year before we had a 0% increase. The year before a 6% increase. So we've had some really good years the last 3 or 4 years, part of which is associated with the clinic, which we heard the presentation earlier. But we'll see how the next few months go. Jeff, stop there.
Steve, is there any preliminary thoughts on the amounts we will contribute to HSA fund this year?
Tentatively, I've went ahead and budgeted our current contribution of $500 per employee to their HSA, which for us is about $250,000, depending on the people who sign up for it.
If we increase that, do you think more people would sign up, and would that lower our costs?
It could. I mean, that is a very efficient policy, and so the more employees we have on that policy, it's financially to our benefit. And so we just have to find that place where it seems to make financial sense to do that. So is that maybe $750? Is it $1,000? I want to say Independence, I think, contributes $1,000 or $1,500. I'll have to verify that. But they're the exception. Most people are kind of in the ballpark of where we're at, $500 or so.
But we're at least looking at if we could do more.
Yep. And then lastly, Benefits Direct helps manage our benefits with our employees, and there's a presentation on that. Our next Benefits Committee meeting is in February, right before our February board meeting, and you're welcome to attend.
Any other questions for Steve or anything? All right, so I don't forget, before we approve the consent agenda, I'll go ahead and read these donations that we have. And again, we're always so appreciative of all these. We have several donations to our ESL, English as a Second Language program, from Carlitos, $10 gift certificate from Doughboys, Donuts, from Lost Chili's, a $25 gift certificate, from Papa Murphy's, free pizzas from the Wellness Center, 1-month family passes, donation to Spring Valley from the Spring Valley PTA, $8,000 purchase of a stage with stairs, guard railing, and a dolly. That sounds like a pretty nice stage. That's good for them. Another donation to Spring Valley from REAP, $200 for various items from Woods Chapel Church, $260 worth of clothes, $180 worth of clothes. For Peace Lutheran Church, $100 worth of books for Christmas gifts to students. A donation to South High from Firehouse Subs, $350 for a team meal. From George Kep, $170 for a football team meal. From Mr. and Mrs. Nix, $115 worth of clothing. From National Guard, $150 toward a football team meal. From I'm not sure if I can read this, 3STEM Media, 3510 Media, okay, $725 for a football team meal. Wow, the football team at South is really eating well this year, because I miss those team meals. From American Family Insurance, $500 for a football team meal. And from Edward Jones, $164 for a football team meal. A donation to TTP, Three Trails, from Victoria Moms, $25. Donation to South Middle from Masonic Home of Missouri. $1,500 for school supplies and backpacks. Wow, should have added that up. That's a big total tonight. Appreciate that. So, all right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I move the board approve the December 9th, 2019 consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments? Legislative,
that's an information item.
Okay, it's an information item, and that'll be Dr. Markley next time. Okay, so we'll go on to new business. Item 1, certification of election. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the ballot language to elect Board of Education directors for submission to the election authorities no later than 5 p.m. on the 10th Tuesday prior to the April 7th, 2020 election.
Second.
Questions? So we will have 2 elections this year. First read of academic calendar. We have that there. Nothing to vote on. Any questions?
I just had a quick question. I saw that it shows second semester starting January 15th. So would finals be when they come back, or will they do it before?
So we have always tried to balance first and second semester number of days. With the pushback of the first day of school, that imbalances it by 20 days. And so we can't have a first semester and a second semester be that much different. And so we're able to start, we're going to start that second semester 2 weeks later. That leaves the students a week and a half almost back at school and then finals. So in the past, when we've had second semester starting after Christmas break, a lot of times those kids are coming back and immediately doing finals, which does not seem hardly fair. At least we have the week in between for them to get all boned up to the final and take the final exam. And we've, just as an aside to that, the big hiccup there is not as much finals as it is Herndon, because Herndon is, a consortium of districts. Several districts are still kind of toying around with what they're going to do with that semester cutoff date. Lee Summit is the only one that's really stepped forward and said that they are, at least tentatively, as we are tentatively, looking at that same date. And between us and Lee Summit, that's the majority of our students. We have historically not been able to coordinate calendars with Independence anyway, and that's our other big sender. So we just do our best to at least get most of our kids in that same place. And so we're hoping that other districts will also follow suit as they start to see the imbalance of first and second semester.
I have a question, Mr. President. About the starting date, are other districts in our area then also starting later?
It's state mandated.
That's a firm,
Yep.
You can't vote on it or?
We wouldn't have had this late if we
Yeah.
could have.
This is because of the new law that was
Right.
passed, so this is the earliest we could.
We're starting 2 days later than the state mandated date, just because we don't want to start on Monday. So we're starting on Wednesday.
But in the past, it's been something that we could.
Well, the state law
change.
had some wiggle room in it.
Right.
And we all wiggled.
But now there's none.
Right.
Okay. I like it, personally.
Please take time to read the summary. There are 2 documents on this agenda item. The summary is very informative. Melissa and her team and Rachel spent a lot of time working on this. This has been a huge undertaking, a huge shift for us. So please take some time to look that over. Dr. Markley will be putting this in front of the Teacher Advisory Council as well as the Support Staff Advisory Council. I believe he's already spoke with PTA about it a little bit, but this is a significant shift for our students and our staff and our families.
might point out too, just to keep in mind that this includes a change in overall time for high school and middle school. 6 minutes longer for high school, 3 minutes longer for middle school. This is in order to balance out the minutes total for elementary, middle school, and high school. It allows us to better manage the total days within the school year because it's by minutes rather than days. So it allows all of our students to go to school the exact same number of minutes throughout the school year. And the other big shift would be just parent-teacher conferences in the spring, or in the fall, I'm sorry, are pushed back a couple of weeks. The rest of the calendar is terribly different from what you would anticipate.
The other thing is the last day of school is pretty firm now because we have snow days built in, and if we have to make up extra, we can build those into the days.
You can actually build it into even Wednesdays because now we're counting on minutes rather than days. If we go over a certain number of, a certain threshold of snow days, say by February, we can start going full days on Wednesdays and not even have to push back that final day. So what it allows us is we should not have the overlap of summer school and regular school as we did this year where we just went right from one to the other, which was very difficult. We'll have a buffer in there this year. And as you said, the last day of school is much more of a solid number.
Any other questions? All right. Music insurance renewal. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. President, I move to accept the renewal quote from Missouri United Schools Insurance Council in the amount of $1,755,637.
Second.
Steve, did you have anything else to add on this?
Now, this is about a $50,000 increase from last year. Actually, this is, in my mind, a very favorable renewal rate based on the fact that nationally, there has been about a 25 to 35% increase in property casualty premiums as a result of fires and hurricanes and other natural disasters, as well as was mentioned earlier, we had a large work comp claim this last year. So at this point, that's not impacting our renewal. So a $50,000 increase in this environment. Other districts around us have seen a 25 to 35% increase. So this is, in my mind, a favorable.
I take it that this, Mr. President, I take it that this is a cooperative?
Yes.
Where, how many institutions are part of the cooperative?
Eric?
Off, you just write, roughly.
There's a couple hundred across the state of Missouri.
Okay, and we believe reasonably that the buying power of the 200 districts is sufficient to make it economical for an individual district like Raytown. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I assume you work for the Raytown School District, is that correct? I've met you.
Eric works for CBIZ.
CBIZ,
Yes,
okay,
right.
okay, okay. Should have asked that.
All right. Selector of vendor for HVAC and plumbing. Need a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve Lexington Plumbing as the preferred plumbing contractor for 1 year with an option of 4 additional years at a unit price of $2,032 and Stanger as the preferred HVAC contractor for 1 year with an option of 4 additional years at a unit price of $2,835.
Is there a second?
Second.
So I just have one question. I know we've had these kind of contracts before, like with concrete and stuff, and I understand unit prices, but how does what's a unit price for plumbing?
So if you look at the bid tab, you'll see it has a flat rate, which is just your straight time, if we call it. They came in during normal working conditions. Then you have time and a half, double time, mobilization, supervisor. What that does is we self-perform 95% of our maintenance to the district during the day. What it allows is have some control when we have critical items such as a rain break that happens during, at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. We have a set price already that we can go in. It also allows us, if we have one of our ground source pumps go out, and we have a set unit price for them to come in and repair it and get things up and running when we don't have time to take things out to bid.
So we're making a 4-year contract?
It's a 1-year contract that I have the option each year to go on, so it'll be a total of 5 years.
For the same price? They don't?
No, if you read the bid tab out, it'll show the price increase. Like Lexington Plumbing, they have no price increase the first 3 years, and then they increased 3% the 4th year and 5% the 5th year, which was very low compared to everybody else. If you look at Stanger, they did a 3% price increase each year, which is roughly equal to the cost of living increase.
Has Lexington done work for us?
Lexington's done a lot for us, and so is Stanger. Stanger does a lot for us through bond work with other vendors. And Lexington's done a lot of work for us throughout the years, and that's where Tom came forward, and like I said, he had no supervisor fee in there, which made him very favorable as well.
So if they came in one of these situations and billed us for this thing and it showed us the unit price, you'd still be verifying all that?
Sure,
right?
like anything else.
Any other questions? All right, hold on. This one. Hmm. 2020 roof work on.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve Flynn Midwest LP to roof Herndon Central Middle School, Southwood, Spring Valley, and Cornell Roofing and Sheet Metal to roof Raytown High School at a cost of $1,273,000 plus a 10% contingency of $127,300 for a potential cost of $400,300. I'm an English major, not an agriculture.
Those millions are hard to read. Second. You do that.
So, Mr. President, so in our Finance Committee discussion, we talked about must-haves and could-haves. This is a must-have.
So our discussion, yes. Our discussion about future delays would be after this plan of improvement. So right now we're working on the 2020 plan for roofs and other projects. If we're looking at projects to delay or defer for future years to be 21, 22, and 23, those projects moving forward. This is, based on timing, something we feel like we need to do.
I got it. Thank you.
And the urgencies of these specific projects are at the top of the list for roofs. Any other? All right, roofing materials.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of roofing materials from Education Plus at a cost of $430,015.93.
Second.
Motion is second. So I'm guessing this saves us money by doing this.
Consortium purchase.
And the contractors, I guess they have to be okay with it. I mean, sometimes contractors they don't want to use their own stuff, but.
It does prevent them from substituting material that's inferior to what we prefer.
Let's all vote on that. Central Middle School renovation.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve Bruner Construction to complete the central middle upgrades at a cost of $1,030,000 plus a 10% contingency of $103,000 for a total potential cost of $1,133,000.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this one?
I need to make sure I understand this. Probably easy. It says budget impact under budget by approximately $450,000 if all the contingencies spent. But then it says there's a plus 10% contingency of $103,000. Help me understand the 450.
Well, I'm asking you to approve $1,133,000, and I want you to assume we will spend.
Say it again. I'm sorry, I can't hear.
I want you to approve $1,133,000. I want you to also assume that because I'm asking you for that, that we may spend it all. And so when I write into the impact, I note that we're $450,000 if we spend all of the contingency. If we spent none of the contingency, we'd be under budget by approximately $583,000.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
I'll just make a note. I want to thank Dr. Hvac for being here tonight. He's been sick all day, and he is puny.
Go home.
Don't spread.
I will as soon as these items are done. Thank you, though.
We'll go faster then. Any other questions on that? Is it going to redo the whole parking lot at Central Middle?
Yes, yeah, we will redo the whole parking lot. Part of the savings that you guys recognize this year is we found a different way to approach the bus drop-off. So one of the things that we had talked about was doing a drop-off loop off of 59th Street and working with the school and Dr. Hvac, Dr. Shelton. We found a way to use the existing parking lot where we do not have to do that. So that's why you see such a reduction in the original estimated cost versus what we're able to bring in on bid day. So just thinking creatively outside the box to do something a little bit different with what we currently have in place.
Okay, so great. Thank you. Herndon's Career Center and Wellness Center renovation.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve Larison Construction to complete HVAC work at Herndon Career Center and Bruner Construction to complete HVAC work at the Wellness Center at a cost of $386,359, plus a 10% contingency of $38,635 for a total potential cost of $424,994.
Second.
Comments? So I know we're just doing the base bid on both of these, is that right?
Correct.
Yes, sir. How do we decide to just do the base bid?
Remain in budget.
Yeah, yeah.
If we did the full bid at Wellness Center, it would have put us over budget by about $250,000.
Okay. So what is the alternate number one for the auditorium on the $400,000? I'm looking at these guys so they can talk as much, you don't have to as much.
The base bid at the Wellness Center was to do the HVAC replacement for the workout area. And then the alternate was for the pool area. So the pool packs that condition the pool. So yeah, base bid for the workout area and then the alternate for the pool, and we did not accept the alternate this time.
It was just too high?
It boiled down to budget. It would have put us over. We put it out as an alternate in hopes that it would come back good, which we actually did get very good numbers. It just wasn't good enough for us to fit within the budget. Yep.
What needs to be done in that part of the building? What's wrong with it?
The pool?
Yeah, the pool side.
It's just aged equipment. It's just older equipment that does need to probably be addressed sometime in the relative near future. Yeah.
It's a more sophisticated system too because it's over the auditorium, so it comes at a higher cost for that reason.
So the the roof project's 450 under budget, and this one is 125. Are we waiting till the end to determine like how to move forward with the money that's under budget?
That would be true, but also, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I gotta build a South High auditorium. So I need some of these to come in the budget.
Right. So there's a priority of what's when we come under budget, or hopefully continue in that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's already been kind of ironed out.
So I have a question in reference to the Wellness Center. Help me to understand. So basically, we're going to do the HVAC now, and the pool is a future thing that we're going to do?
Possibly. It would go
And so
back
what are
on
we going to do to the pool? Are we going to...
And Bobby, it's not the actual pool, it's the HVAC that conditions that area.
Thank you.
So
I was thinking that you was going to redo the pool.
No, the pool itself is fine, it's the climate control in that pool area.
The units that sit on the roof.
It was the what?
The units that sit on the roof.
Okay, all righty.
There's two separate systems.
Yeah, we're not touching the inside of the building.
Okay.
Two separate systems.
All righty, thank you.
Is it just for air conditioning in the workout area, or is it the heating too? Both. Because you're supposed to sweat, so I mean, AC's not urgent in there. All right. Any other questions on that one?
That's true. Mr. Landis gave a good example of why we need HVAC. It helps with the odor.
Okay, South High Auditorium wall repair.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the South High Auditorium west wall repairs at a cost not to exceed $1 million, $100,000.
$1 billion.
$100,000.
Second.
All right, who wants to speak to this one?
Well, what questions can we answer on this one?
Well, what questions do you have?
Well, we're here again discussing the wall, and I'd like to know several things. One is, what kind of winds were we talking about that moved the wall? How much did it move? What did we do with the students? Or were they out in the, I mean, where did they do their thing? Those are starters.
Yep.
So if you, I don't know if you can open one of the attachments on there, the one that says at the very end is 19/11/27.
I can't hear, I'm sorry, I really apologize. I gotta apologize profusely.
So if you remember, Mr. Tony, a month ago, stood here and we talked about the shoring system that was in place for that wall and the job that it was doing, and the confidence in that was the best solution that we had in order for you to continue to use that space.
Yeah.
And could not guarantee at that time whether that wall would move or shift in a high wind event. And about 2 weeks after that, we had a high wind event in that area. If you go down, there's a graph that we can talk about. So I want to explain this. There's a lot of technical information on here, so we'll try to, but what this is showing you is in the yellow triangle here. That is the material strength, ultimate material strength within that wall that is supposed to be assumed when it is constructed correctly. Okay? Now, when we first went out and tested that wall with the strain gauges that we installed, the first reading is showing up here in the red. Okay? Which meant that it was already stretched past its ultimate capacity, and we installed the shoring system to keep it from shifting anymore.
Yep.
After the wind event that happened between, I believe it was on the
24th.
Thank you. It pushed it even further. And what our engineer did is he went out and he read, and he realized that that percentage had jumped from about 3 to 4% up to 12. If you do those calculations, that equates to about 1/8 of an inch of movement, which is a lot. That doesn't sound like very much, but for a wall that size, that is significant, okay? And then he came back and reported to us and started to, discuss what we could recommend to you at that point. A day later, we called Dr. Sheldon and Dr. Hvac and went out and talked about it and looked at it, and you can actually physically see that movement. Now, the shoring system is keeping the wall from falling out, okay? It's keeping the wall from falling out. But it shifted inward. Now, that wall, where it's located, is at the side of almost a courtyard. What we think happened is the wind gusts got high enough. If you go down, there's some more reports in here. The wind gusts got high enough that when it got back in that courtyard, it started to spin. And so even though our gusts were around 30 to 50 miles per hour on that day, it could have gotten a little bit faster as it started to spin. So that is our estimate of what possibly happened. But if you look at these reports, the maximum wind gust in Raytown was 54 miles per hour at that weather station. So it averaged, and we probably remember around that time period, we were having very high wind gusts. And that's our estimate of what happened.
Does that include the wind tunnel effect, the 54?
No,
that's just the baseline, and the wind tunnel would have taken it 25% or more? So it got to 60?
Yeah.
I mean, just estimate.
Yes,
60.
it will increase it. It's what we call a reentrant corner. So it's just an inside corner, and yes, those pressures do build up within that inside corner, which is where this situation is with the wall. So yeah, those wind speeds would have probably experienced a little bit higher pressure in that inside corner.
And so the wall moved in instead of out. So what do we, okay, so it moved in.
Say, that shoring system did its job.
Say it again.
That shoring system did its job. If it had not been there, there's a possibility it could have moved even more.
The buttress, or whatever you call it, if it had not been there, it would have continued to go in?
It's possible that it would have continued to go further, yes. When we went out and looked, I don't know, do you have the pictures in this report?
They should be, yes.
If you scroll down, we actually took some pictures of the deadman bracing. So we had these painted after they were installed. So the braces, the bolts and everything were put in, and it was painted after. After that wind event, you can actually see where the bolts that are tying everything together had actually shifted, which means they were put under stress or strain and they actually moved on those deadmen, which means that they were stressed to their capacity and then they stopped any further movement that would have happened. So they were there, they did their job exactly what we wanted it to do. We just don't want it to continue to do that. We can't have it continue to do that.
Have the bolts been weakened?
They have not, but the thing is that we also had some new cracks that had formed. And so anytime you have that happen, if you have a solid piece, right, it's not going to move nearly as much as when you have a crack in it. When a crack starts to form, then it allows a little bit more movement. That crack can there expand and allow more movement and more movement and more movement. So after this event, not only did the bolts move, but we also noted some additional cracking within the wall, which will allow it to move a little bit more now every time it is stressed. Therefore, we're in the situation that we're in where we believe that this wall does need to come down.
The wall needs to come down.
It does.
This section, yes.
This section does, yes.
Well, how big a section are you talking? And I'm sorry, but how big a section are you talking?
It's about the depth of the stage. So if you go up onto the stage, it is the depth of the stage.
40 feet, are you saying?
No, not
No.
I'd say about 20 feet.
Yep.
And you replace it with?
So what we want to do, until we know what we're going to do in the future with the auditorium, what we're proposing now is to demo the wall that is there and go in with a metal stud and sheathing and some sort of a metal panel. It is just a good, quick solution that will bring the building back up to weather tightness and make it safe. And then we can reopen that space.
Then that takes the dead man system away.
On this section of the wall.
Just on that piece.
Just on
Yes.
that.
The other pieces haven't moved, we haven't detected any significant movement on those.
So you can just take part of it.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
And if we don't do it, you don't reopen the space. Is that what I hear you say?
We will not reopen that space. We will not reopen that space.
You will not unless you do this work.
Yes.
And I would say Raytown South is hoping and planning to do a spring musical in there, so I'm suggesting that we do this, even though I don't like spending $100,000 on a temporary measure, but.
What happened, then the other question, then I'll stop asking. What happened, where are the students now? Are they in some other part of the building doing their thing?
Yeah, they're not going in there.
They're what?
They're not using that space for.
They're not using space, but what are they?
So,
We have a classroom, and they also go into the gym. We have a stage area there. But
Okay.
right now,
There's a
the
band
next-
concert tomorrow night that's going to be in the gym.
In the gym.
Okay,
We're using the
okay.
stage that's in the gym.
And that's working, although it's not ideal.
Yeah.
But it's working.
Acoustics aren't great, but.
So what's the, this is a temporary fix. So what if we have a serious wind level like we had here recently? Does that wall stand, or is it affected by the wind velocity?
The new infill wall?
The new wall that you will be placing there?
Yep. The new wall will be just fine. We've engineered that with our engineers. The metal studs will be to the size that they need to be to counteract the wind. So it would be a safe wall for you guys to then reoccupy the stage and the auditorium.
What's the life expectancy of that wall?
The life expectancy of that wall, depending, we're not going to do it to like we would if it was going to be a permanent solution yet, because we want to be budget conscious. So it's going to be metal studs, some insulation, sheathing, and a metal panel. So it will be weather tight. It'll be a good wall. If we decide to leave it and keep it for the future, we'll probably come back to you and recommend that we do a little bit more. But we do want to be budget conscious of what we're doing currently, because we don't know how long it will take. So if we do decide to move forward with the auditorium, what we don't want to do is spend good money after bad and then go in and have to do something different later.
Could you refresh my memory on the cost of the auditorium to totally build?
It was...
The new build?
Yeah.
So we were looking at 9 to 10 million for the auditorium, and then if we do the auxiliary gym with it, we're at about 14 million total.
This $100,000, is that the amount that the insurance?
The insurance will compensate whatever the cost is. The existing, I'm sorry, Mr. Cody, I don't know if you can hear. The existing budget is $100,000 because those are the numbers we've received from Bruner Construction. I've talked with Phil, our insurance adjuster. He said move forward. In other words, music will cover the cost of this. If the cost goes up, they would cover that cost. Obviously, if it goes down, that's to their benefit. So we stuck with this cost because we have numbers that work, and I have confirmed from the insurance company that they will cover it. We will be working with Bruner Construction, maybe even looking at Larison and so on, to see if we can get this number down to our benefit.
So the $100,000 is something that we approved that would later be reimbursed?
Yes. And that's a not to exceed number. Once you get to Dr. Hutch's point, if we can figure out a way to get to 80,000 and build the quality wall that we expect, then we'll do it for 80.
So does but the insurance is gonna pay whatever it costs?
Yes.
So the wall that we construct, I mean, do we have to, I mean, I don't know, I know we don't wanna spend insurance money because we got it.
So we had that discussion, knowing that we're moving in a direction to do a complete rebuild. It didn't make, we didn't feel like it wasn't responsible, nor did it make sense to tear it down and put up another brick wall, nor the timing of it. And it would take us a while, it's not gonna take us long to tear it down, but it would take us a while to build it back up. The metal wall will be easier and quicker to get back up.
Yeah, we are looking at about a week and a half total construction time to get the wall down and then the new one back up. And this contractor is ready to start as early as tomorrow or Wednesday.
I guess I'm trying to interpret what Miss Bobby was asking about how long that wall would last. We not want to look at something that, this wall is, we haven't moved quick enough, so now we got to do something with this temporary wall that we.
With the metal panel, it would last for several years. So if we needed to wait several years, we would still be fine. Yes.
But I also heard you say the wall needs to come down, so it can come down 5 years from now, is that what you're saying?
No, the existing wall that has experienced the movement.
Oh, that part of the wall?
Yes.
What about the rest of the wall? Would that?
It's doing fine. We continually monitor the rest of the wall that goes down the auditorium as you move to the north, and it's not experiencing the stresses that this one section did. So the rest of the wall is okay at this moment. It is doing fine. and it's not experiencing the movement that we saw in this one section.
Each section, there's concrete pillars in between each section, so it's kind of, would you say there's 4 separate walls there in this span?
Yes, it's a steel structure, so these walls are not tied into that structure. They're almost free-floating, which is one of the reasons we're having the issues that we are. And if you remember, Mr. Tody, last month I said, one of the reasons we're observing this wall the way that we are is in case a movement like this happens, we would alert you, which is exactly what we've done.
Yeah, and don't take this being criticism, but, you know, examining the movements on some scale or some counter back, that is bad work, but it's after the fact. I mean, the risk is when the wind blows, not when we measure the gauge. And secondly, you know, what I've been told by some engineers is that when you fix one part of the building, you can create a stress level in another part of the building in a sense that it's unknown.
Right.
So your probability of what you fix may be 100%, but you may have taken the other 95 down to 85.
Correct.
That's a possibility.
It is a possibility, and we are very in tune with that. I think we've been looking at this wall for almost a year now. And so our engineers are familiar with the situation, and they do have a reservation about it, but we do feel comfortable because, like Mr. Moore said, there are the concrete columns and the steel beams that are in between. It somewhat isolates this section of wall that needs to be replaced from the others. So it does lend itself a little bit to being isolated and being able to be worked on independently of the other sections as you go down the wall.
What assurance can you give us in writing to say that this thing is going to prevail for 5 years? What assurance can you give us in writing? You said that. You indicated they would be 5 years.
The metal stud wall?
The whole wall. The whole wall.
Oh, the shoring system?
Oh, we hope that in monitoring that we can save it for 5 years. We said that it would last, by code, we can't say that it'll last more than 18 months.
And we didn't assure you it would last. We said we were hoping it would last with continued observations, knowing that this wall is at risk, and this is the best option that we can give you so that you can occupy the space.
Right.
Yeah.
So since we're only gonna have 3 walls that your person will be monitoring, is that a reduce in the fee that you charge? Because now we have one wall, mine is one wall that you have to monitor. Just
We can look into that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
every penny cent helps.
Yes, we can look into that.
Yeah, I just, and then I'll let me, I'm really bothered by this thing. And I've been bothered by it, and you know I've been sending emails and so forth. It's not personal.
Sure.
But I really have a problem going forward on this. And my colleague here is an engineer, and I listen to what he says, but I worry that we will find out on the gauge that the wall's fallen down. We won't need a gauge when that happens. And I have that concern, and I wish we could get started on the solution rather than another fix. The $100,000 is a lot of money, and I appreciate that we want to have the performance, but we're also talking about risk, and in very general terms, but doesn't give me a lot of confidence. I know you're doing your job. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
Well,
what are you suggesting? That we have no choice here. I agree with you about some of the things that led up to this and possibly cause this.
Well,
we have no other choice.
Well, I think we do, and that's where I'm going.
The only choice is to leave this space unused.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Then I know.
Why would we want to do that if the insurance?
Well, then I know that those students who would be in that building on a day when the wind is really howling in the spring, then I don't have to worry about their safety.
I got an actual kid in that building, and I'm trusting them.
Well, I understand that, and each of us have our own risk tolerance. We all. And I'm looking at this, not so much the money, but I'm looking at what point do we say we've had enough of these warnings we've got a situation where we're bracing the structure, but we can't say where the next kind of event may or may not occur, depending upon how strong the wind is and whether the wind tunnel whips that piece around. And that's something that I'd rather be on the side of real caution, Rick. I'd rather be on the side of caution than move forward, and I think we go build a building.
When I think about it, like what Rick was saying, Moore was saying that, I mean, this building here is at risk. There's a risk here for high winds to take this building down. That's always persistent. We have gauges we have on these walls, and yes, it's accurate fact, but I also believe that knowing the situation, something that we didn't know a little while ago, our risk is highly diminished right now because of what's been done. I agree that we need to act as fast as we can as far as deciding about the auditorium and what's going to be built and move on that, but I don't think we need to go to the extent of not using the space, especially because the system did its job and it alerted us, and now there's no kids in that space until that wall is being rebuilt. If it happens again in another wall, that wall will be rebuilt. Before this, I don't expect a wind. I mean, I can't say that, but tomorrow for any of these walls to fall, but I do expect we'll see movement before the failure happens. So because of that, I think we can use the process that we're going through now to determine if we want to use this space or not. If it wasn't for the insurance, I'd probably have a different opinion of paying the cost. You know, I'm not trying to make light of the risk, but the cost, you know, I don't want to keep spending $100,000 a pop every time the wall moves, but in this case, with the insurance reimbursing us, I don't see what we could do differently. Well, I guess what we could really focus on is trying to decide what we're going to do in regards to the auditorium and get it done.
So what if we just replaced all walls? I mean, without building an auditorium?
Well, we did go through that cost analysis. If you remember when we started to talk about it with the different options, and we broke down how much it would be to replace each wall individually and essentially leave your square footage the way it was, and it was more cost effective to tear down that entire addition and rebuild than to try to redo each wall individually.
You mean it would cost us more to replace the individual walls than to build the auditorium?
Yes, because the foundations would have to be reworked as well. Because right now they're not the right size to support the correct concrete block wall that you would need.
But what you're going to put up in place of this wall now is just going to be a temporary fix.
That's correct.
So you don't have to worry about the foundation or anything like that. So the stability of that wall is going to be stable.
Yes. Yes.
Without all of the groundwork.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, the metal studs weigh significantly less than what the concrete blocks would weigh if we were to rebuild it with the concrete blocks properly. Yes.
So do we have to rebuild it with the concrete? I mean, replace the walls? Do we have to have that? I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I'm just asking questions for clarity. So if you can put up one wall with the metal studs, what's wrong with putting up 4 walls with the metal studs?
We may be able to do that. Our engineers have looked at it, and it's what we call shear. So think of a box when you're wrapping your Christmas presents, right? Because it's Christmas time. And if you fold the ends in, that box is pretty stable. But if you open the ends up, you can push that box right over. You kind of know what I'm saying? So if we removed all of those infill pieces that are now block and brick, if we put those back in with a different kind of material, we would lose that shear ability, and that building would want to move in different directions. So we have to be careful about what we say we can infill that with when we go back with another solution. So we would have to go back and look at that pretty hard if we wanted to do something other than block and brick. We're okay if we do just the one section, but if we get into other sections as we go, it could affect what we call the shear plane of that building, and that wall could experience other movement and failures that we don't know yet. Does that make sense?
I'd like to add something to that. The other thing is, if we just rebuilt those walls, besides spending all that money, we are still left with a 60-year-old room that is obsolete for what they want to do over there. It limits what they can do with their plays. There's no building area. We already had $1 million set aside in the bond to add restrooms, because the restroom facilities for that part of the school are horrendous. The vestibule is terrible when there's a big play or anything going on. It's a 60-year-old obsolete building, and I didn't look forward to doing this right now, but if we're going to do it, we might as well redo the whole thing. And we're not ready to start. Even if we wanted to build, even if we had the funds identified, we're still at least 10 to 12 months out from starting, right? With design and everything else going on. So you guys have started meetings with students and parents and teachers over there to know what they need and what they want. You know, and I've asked for a list of numbers of students and stuff that are actually using the building so we can justify this cost, just like when we did with turf fields. We justify the cost by showing how much cheaper it was and how many more kids are going to be able to use that space.
So in other words, we don't have the $10 to $14 million in the budget right now for the.
And that's what Steve has to work on, and Rick's going to write a check for the rest.
Excuse me. That's the first time I've been speechless all night, right?
Rick to the auditorium.
So Steve, you're going to be looking for $14 million within the next 12 months, is that
We're going to look at least for 10. And
well, we already had 1.5 set aside for renovations that we were going to do in that space anyway, including added restrooms. So there's a chunk.
And actually, I think that number's 1.7. I think 1.7, 1.8. But through saved contingency, if we don't spend all the contingency on some of these projects, Dr. Hux has worked hard and identified some projects that we can delay for future years, some roofs and some other things. We would always do safety and security, like the guided entries. We'd always do those projects that we felt like are priorities. But there are some things that we feel like we can delay that would save us some money, and we could put toward this project. Right now, we probably have come up with about 10 million. Okay. But we need to have some other discussions. We need to have some bigger discussions.
Yeah. Now the things that we are putting on back burner are those things that we presented to the voters that we were going to be doing with the bond money that we received.
So there are two parts of that. There are those projects that we put in the ballot language, the ballot that the voters approved, general language about improvements, but then there are about 3 or 4 bulleted items: safety and security, roofs, improvements and upgrades at the auditoriums at both high schools, and I can't remember what the 4th one was. We do need, and we have a legal obligation to follow through with those projects at some level and some degree. There is that discussion about when we went through the process with our Citizens Advisory Council and we identified those projects we wanted to do, say at Spring Valley or other places. We did say, yes, we're going to do a roof or a parking lot at those buildings, and we need to have that discussion with those buildings and with those PTAs and with the Citizens Advisory Council about the reason we would want to defer those projects. We're not saying never, we're just saying later, and have that discussion with the Citizens Advisory Council to make sure that they would be comfortable with that decision as well.
But if it's a roof, Steve,
It's not. The roof is not one of the events.
It's not one of those, okay.
Building envelope is being protected. It would be projects, and they're set up for you to decide if you want to switch them around, but it might be additional restrooms or something like that that's more of a want than a need. But you ultimately, as the board, would be able to pick and choose to come up with the ultimate list.
As long as it's not anything that we told the voters that we were going to be doing with the bond, that's the thing that concerns me. If we said it, we have to honor our word.
I agree, and we talked about that in finance.
Yes, so there's a lot more discussion. This salt spread needs to be had about this, and by no means are we making that decision tonight.
But let's also, in order to minimize the risk, is we get a new building up. Right? That takes care of the risk. And so I would suggest that this is a kind of a full court press deal to sort out how fast we can get a building. And if there's analysis of numbers and so forth, we can control that. Citizens, we certainly need to have conversations.
Yep, yes.
But I don't want, I mean, I hope we're, what, 2-3 months away before we can push the button on going forward on a new building, if that's what we want to do. Are we talking?
They're doing that. They're doing that. They already started the meeting.
I mean, the decision to do the new building. What did you say, Rick?
They're already doing that. Everything you say, and they're working on it like we're going forward, but we still have things to do. I mean, I was at the first meeting they had with the students and parents and teachers over there.
We are working concurrently right now, so instead of doing things one at a time where you guys maybe make the decision to move forward and then we start with the design process and doing the drawings, we're actually starting some of the drawing processes right now.
Okay.
So we've already started those meetings. That ball is rolling. It doesn't commit you guys to much of anything other than maybe some design piece down the road, but right now we are moving forward with that, and then once we decide how much money we can spend and what you guys would like to do as the district, as the school board, then we can move forward. But we have started the design piece on our site because that will take us some time to get through and work through properly with the school. So we are moving forward.
Can we get the can spend scenario in place in the next 60 days?
Yes.
I mean, we got holidays, so let's,
Yes.
what we can think we can spend, bearing in mind we have to talk about what we decided on the bond issue.
My hope is to come to you with 3 different scenarios that we can look at funding sources, such as one is deferring the delays of projects. That's one option. Another option is taking what we currently have and what we're going to save and contingency and say here's another dollar amount that we can come up with going this direction. I've also already been in contact with Joe Kender at Stiefel, and we're discussing, okay, what kind of lease purchase options do we have, or when can we go back out to the voters? When will we have enough bonding capacity? Could we go to the voters for a $10 million ask on I'll say a small bond question to the voters, say in April of, let's just say April 21, April 22, to say, hey, we need $10 million for this project. And we have the bonding capacity to do that at a no tax increase. So I want to bring to you 2 or 3 different scenarios that we can follow up with, all of which have, I think, are very, in their own way, are very solid options.
When was this auditorium built?
59.
Have we done anything recently to compromise, even despite the fact that it wasn't built up to standard?
I mean, our work on the south wall, no. We discovered some of the damage on the west wall while we were working on the south wall, but no.
Okay. So you said 69 or 59?
59.
Okay.
60 years old.
I think I mean, I can't say, I wouldn't say that it's safer now, but I feel better going in there now with the gauges than 10 years ago.
Back then we didn't know. We had an idea now.
Right. That's what we know now. And that does put us at some risk of liability, but we're acting, doing the things we need to do now, I think.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I mean, I am willing to vote for what we're doing with the $100,000 whenever you're ready to move us forward.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
She said she's ready to vote. I'm going to call the question.
I heard that.
Any other comments real quick? All right, let's vote on the motion. son said he likes having the band concert in the gym tomorrow night, but it's just him. Okay. For upgraded software and video equipment.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of upgraded software and video equipment from Angel Tracks at a total cost of $98,659.92.
Second.
Motion and a second. Kevin, now I guess that's why you came tonight.
That is, this is what I'm here for.
Anything you want to talk to us about on this?
No, I'll just see how it shakes out. Unless anybody has transportation questions, then I'm happy to.
So this is probably more of a technology. Kevin did come to us and said, hey, we've got some issues with our camera system and our video system, and asked for us to put together an option to make improvements that are needed.
Well, so I can explain the current system. The current system, we have to go out. Well, it went from VHS tapes to hard drives about 10 years ago with the purchase. And some of those buses still have the same equipment. So it's been 10 years old, running around the town, taping on a loop continuously. So if something happens on a bus, a discipline event, a student doesn't go home after school and we have to confirm whether they rode the bus or not, we have to go to the vehicle, pull the hard drive, come back into the office, plug it in, find the right time where it occurred, download it off the hard drive, and then upload it onto the server so that the school can then identify the student or investigate the incident. If the bus is on a field trip or at the body shop, that hard drive can be harder to get our hands on. But we physically have to go to the vehicle and pull the hard drive in order to collect the data. The new equipment works with our Wi-Fi capabilities to establish a remote link. When our buses pull into a school now, the Wi-Fi detects the building signal and switches over, much like your phone does when you walk into your house. So something happens on the high school route, we drop all the high schoolers off, the bus goes to the next middle school. As soon as they pull in the lot, that high school footage starts to download. So depending on the length of the route and how long it sits in the middle school, the high school administrator might be able to have the video 40 minutes after the event instead of 4 hours. It also would reduce the fail rate. Right now, if a hard drive is bad, it can have a corrupt file and it can't continue to record. Well, we don't know that it has a bad file and is not recording until the next time something bad happens and we go pull the hard drive and we see that it hasn't been recording since October. You know, with 80 or 76 vehicles, there's no way that we can go pull all the hard drives just to test them. So digitally, when it's not downloading, we would get a message, hey, there's something wrong, so that we could address it before something bad happens, so that we have the footage.
This is something we've been trying to do for 3 years, we just kind of got to the point where we can do it.
Will this improve our external video capabilities, like what's going on outside the bus?
No, we're not looking to add any additional cameras. We're just going from a hard drive system to a digital system. So this is still 3 cameras in every bus.
But the shelf life on this stuff should be
I would say another decade. I mean, that's what we've been.
You're not going to get it replaced 3 years from now.
No.
Please vote on that item. Okay, the next 5 items are upgrades to Herndon Center, which is great, and 60% top of the pain. So let me have a motion on diesel train.
And as you're looking at these items, we put these out for public bid. Only one vendor responded to 4 of them. On the other item, we had two vendors reply to or respond to. So if you're looking at the spreadsheet, you only see one name, it's because we only had one response to the bid, to the request.
Mr. President, I move to purchase the diesel trainer at a cost of $110,000 from Total Tool.
Second.
What is a diesel trainer?
So it is a simulated diesel engine, and so Mr. Shipley, the diesel instructor, will be able to create a problem that the student has to discover, just like if somebody brought in a diesel truck to be fixed. He could tell it what problem to have, and the students can learn by not damaging somebody else's vehicle. They can practice on the trainer.
Sounds good.
So that's what it is.
Diesel boring mill.
Mr. President, I move to purchase the diesel boring mill for $55,000 from Total Tool.
Second.
Second.
Any other questions or comments?
And what is that?
So the boring mill is, it's a tool that on the engine block of the diesel engine allows you to actually make sure that the cylinders where the pistons, you're testing my knowledge.
Well, I don't know anything, so it just
go up and down. It has to be the right diameter all the way throughout, so it doesn't create an issue to create a problem with the engine. So this is a way that it actually can make sure that those cylinders are correct.
Good job.
You got that, Alonzo? You agree with
Makes
that?
sense.
It's your game, you know.
I'm not a mechanical engineer, I'm a
Okay,
civil
good.
engineer.
You gotta fake it.
Cheryl, these are...
Oh, yes, I agree.
These are pieces of equipment that the students would use in industry.
Absolutely.
So this is something they need to be trained on, need to learn how to use, because when they step into the market, they need to be expected to know how to use these.
Absolutely. And these 5 items are all items that are advisory boards that meet twice a year. In order for us to even submit to DESE that we'd like to write an enhancement grant, the advisory board has to recommend that this is a needed item in order to prepare students for industry. So,
And these are high demand jobs?
yes.
Good.
So the amounts we're approving are the total amounts? It's not just the 40%?
Right, that's the total amount.
Okay,
To be able
so we'll
to.
get 60% of those amounts back. Is there a motion on Genie articulating boom lift? And I'll tell everybody what that is.
Mr. President, I move to purchase the Genie articulating boom lift for $32,500 from Total Tool.
Second.
And I was kidding about the time.
I'm waiting.
What is that? What is that?
I thought he was going to do it too.
No. So the
Genie in a
articulating
box.
boom lift, you can think of, like, we have some boom lifts right now at the culinary site where they're building, but essentially it's a piece of machinery that you can kind of move around, and then it has a lift that looks like a scaffolding going up. But the articulating lift allows it to lift over, and so it's not just straight up, but it actually has an arm with like a boom type thing at the end of it, that so it can kind of create, you can go over and out to work on something, as opposed to having to go straight up and work on the item either right in front of you or above you.
Articulating makes it more educational. Because I don't think a diesel mechanic ever used the word articulate.
Maybe. But this enables them to work and learn how to work in a variety of different scenarios. And most construction sites at some time will use a articulating boom lift.
Steve,
We get
this
to
stuff,
keep
all
all
this
this.
stuff's in the budget. Is that
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, the board approved the enhancement, this is all part of the enhancement grant, improved enhancement grant budget last spring, yeah.
Okay.
So we got a grant for this, right?
60% of it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And we get to keep everything?
Yes.
Excellent.
That's this. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. There you go.
It didn't take Rick. Okay. Okay. No, I didn't see it pop up and I thought it didn't take.
I don't want that.
Motion for Sokia GNSS receiver.
Mr. President, I move to purchase the Sokia GNSS receiver for $24,000 from Total Tool.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
And
This is essentially GPS surveying equipment, and so if you look at a construction site, they, have to survey the land to know the variances across land and things like that, and where exactly to locate items. And so this will be teaching students how to take the digital blueprint reading that we have and actually looking at the real life.
This is really sophisticated. Oh, you did.
Are they getting to watch it all about what's going on and down at the restaurant?
They take a little field trip every so often, and so like the day they pour the concrete, yes, went down there and they watched several other parks.
how long will it take us to get all these?
So almost everything is within about the next week. They actually can deliver, once we do the POs, all that. So pretty quickly.
And auto import trainers.
Mr. President, I move to purchase 3 auto import trainers at a total cost of $80,100 from SMC Supplies.
Second.
I think that's what that is, but
This is for auto tech, and so this is ordering cars similar to the diesel trainer, but this will be actually cars, but they're import, so there are non-domestic brands because they have to work on all types of vehicles. So we'll get 3 different import brands and pursuits to work on, and Mr. Chase will be able to bug those cars as well, so that the students have to figure out
You know
how to
what
fix it.
brands?
Do I know what brands? I don't know.
What brand do you own?
I will tell you, we always try to make sure that we get what students would be working on in industry, and so it is very rare for a high school student to go to like a luxury car dealer or work in a luxury car mechanic shop, and so we will make sure that they are trained and where they will actually be able to get a job pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Not that they can't do those other things, but we want to make sure that they are all trained.
That might be more self-trained.
all right, good. That's gonna be great. See all those upgrades over there. Well, Matt. Ready for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I move that the board join. You didn't pop up.
I skipped it.
I go back one. Well, anyway, yeah. I do move that the board adjourn at 8:43 p.m.
Second.
I think that's the essence of it anyway.
At some point, I don't know when, we'll try to be scheduling a work session to talk more about enrollment and all those issues related to that. Important. Thank you all for coming. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
I can't vote, can I?
Yeah, you can't see good enough. Should be able to roll down.
Save the meeting.
Good job.
No, it just brings me to where it was.